we got some more PvP gameplay in our KVK, and now I will repeat one more time. This is the biggest KVK I have been part of. We are allied with EIS and we are fighting against Avengers and Ash, right? Of course, whenever I will have a chance, I will show you the powers of the alliances and you will understand what kind of rough fights we are having here, right? But as always, the player who loves to fight and gets the fun out of Kingdom Builder games, of course, I will try my best to showcase the footage of PvP gameplay. Last video we had amazing moments with EIS throwing a lot of cavalry units around the battlefield. It was pretty epic. I have never been part of that kind of push, and of course I was really happy that I managed to capture that moment, right? Right now we are fighting in zone 4 and we are trying to attack our enemies into their zone. Of course, we will try to take Hydra, but until then, of course, our enemies will defend themselves, and of course, it won't gonna be easy, right? It won't gonna be easy simply because in Call of Dragons, I think defending is much easier than attacking, because there is a lot of structures, towers, keeps, even fortresses, which will allow you to not to be so much easy to attack rather than defense, right? Because defending is pretty easy, especially if you are archer player. I always say that archers are mainly defensive troop type, mages are more of an offensive one. Well, it's pretty simple to understand why, right? The archers are having medium range, which means in order for them to attack somebody, they need to go closer. And whenever you are going closer, unfortunately, a lot of enemy mage players are basically focusing you, right? So that's the story of the game so far. That's why, if you are archer player, try to understand that defending in Call of Dragons and playing from defensive stance is way more easier and way more profitable, right? In terms of profits, I always mention the merits numbers are the equivalent of profits whenever you are fighting in Call of Dragons, right? And not only during defending, like for example, right now we are attacking, right? If you are attacking and you are playing as an archer, you should be super cautious, because every single second, because of your low range, you can get targeted, and unfortunately, if you are tier 4 player, one target in this kind of fights means that you are down, right? I have had a lot of experiences fighting against such a strong enemies, and every single time there is a couple of seconds target on my legions and my legion is dead. So if you are a tier 4 player, it means that you don't have a chance to make a single mistake whenever you are fighting against such an experienced players, and not only experienced players who actually have the maxed out accounts. And maxed out accounts means that they have 3-star warpeds, they have awakened hero pairs. Both of the heroes in their hero pair section had a 6-star. They have level 5 artifacts, they have level 5 Examplar wish artifacts, which is a huge deal in my opinion, because well, the pay-to-play players wanted to have something extra which will give them the strengths and the ability to showcase their funds, right? And that's why developers of this game created the Examplar Wish event, which is allowing pay-to-play players to get strongest artifacts, which is super hard for a normal player to get, right? In general, I think Examplar artifacts was kinda obvious that something like that would come to the game, because pay-to-play players wanted some extra strengths in their ranks, and of course that's pretty normal, right? But I think the biggest mistake which was made during that Examplar Wish event, or in general the feature, in order for players to actually try their luck in that artifact pulling event, you have to spin 2000 Forge of Light event spins, right? And I will be honest, for a free-to-play player or even for a low spender, spinning Forge of Light 2000 times is super a lot, right? Let's imagine like there is a way for a free-to-play players to actually spin the Forge of Light, which is through the forged keys, right? I will be honest, it's not enough. Like, I don't have enough artifacts in general in Call of Dragons in my 2-year account, which is this one, in order for me to get 5 forged keys every single week, right? You have to scrap the artifacts which you have, which you don't need, and you need like 1000 currency, like scrapped currency, in order for us to get the forged keys, right? Of course, you might say like taking the chests, trying your luck in different events will allow you to scrap more and more artifacts, but I will be honest, every single week it's getting harder and harder for me to actually scrap the artifacts and get the 1000 currency in order for me to get the forged keys, right? So without forged keys, I think the Forge of Light event is really expensive. If you are going to try Forge of Light by the gems, I'm sorry, you have to spend a lot, right? You have to spend a lot, and for a low spender or for a free-to-play players, spending that much money on a Forge of Light event, and plus there is a high chance that you won't even gonna get the artifact you wanted. I would never suggest something like that, right? I prefer you guys to collect forged keys, at least 100, and then try your luck and maybe you will get the desired artifact, right? And also, hopefully, a lot of players will somehow manage to spin Forge of Light 2000 times, and in the end we will be able to get the Exemplar artifacts, right? And that's the reason why I believe focusing on a one main troop type works absolutely amazing, because, well, unfortunately, in this game, as a free-to-play player, it's basically impossible to have every single artifact which you want to have. That's why I decided by myself that I wanted to be Archer main, and I'm only trying to get Archer artifacts. I'm only trying to increase the stars of the Warpads, which are basically only Archers. And that's why I'm investing every single legendary token which I have collected in this game to put in the Archer heroes, right? You might say, but you are investing right now in Musyang, but Musyang is not Archer hero, right? I will stop you right there. Musyang is not Archer hero. Musyang is overall hero, which means you can use her with every single troop type, and it's actually amazing, right? And plus it means that you can actually use Musyang with basically every single Archer hero which you have in the game, right? And for the example, I believe Musyang can be used with Thea, Musyang can be used with Falgrim, with Kinara, with Nico. Basically, you choose which hero you want to pair her with, and she will do her job, right? That's the idea I got. That's the idea I got from the merits which I have been getting with this hero, and hopefully I think I'm missing like 4 levels on my Musyang, and she will be awakened, right? And awakening Musyang is actually perfect, especially for archers, because we are getting additional 50% attack bonus and 50 rage. With that 50 rage, I believe it will be super good to use on the archer heroes, which has this skill damage factor as a damage type, because it will be easier for like skill damage user archers to regenerate rage. And yeah, like rage is the currency for the skill damage users in order for them to use the skills, right? Yeah, unfortunately we have some small stalling moment. Nobody is actually doing anything, and I hope it won't gonna be too much talking in this video, and we will have a more PvP gameplay, right? So far in this KVK, I think it's a perfect time to actually check the power of the alliances, which we are fighting here. And yeah, that's the power of the alliances. Of course, we have been fighting for 2 days. Ashes to Glory is 90 billion power. This is the second alliance for EIS. They are like 26 or 25 billion power. Shish is here. This is DK. And Nova Avengers are basically spread around the different alliances, and they are somewhere close to 20 to 21k, 21 billion power alliance, right? So basically what I wanted to say when I showed the alliance powers and where is my alliance, like when I started the KVK, we were like 7th or 6th. It means that it's not that easy for the alliance of my size and for the player, who is me, like tier 4 player, to get a lot of merits, right? And that's why every single merit which I'm getting in this KVK, I'm really happy, right? Because in
I think in a couple of minutes, as soon as we're gonna start the second fight, I will be able to get to 3 million merits, right? And hopefully at the end of the KVK, I will get another 3 and it will be enough in my eyes, because it's that like merit numbers which I have been getting against these type of players, it's been quite low, right? And quite low simply because I'm comparing my merits to the last KVK, and fortunately or unfortunately, I got 12 million merits during the last KVK. Of course, I was still fighting against tier 5 players, but I guess those tier 5 players was not maxed out players, right? And that's the biggest reason why I believe that the merits are different. Yeah, so far I wish we could start the second try of this PvP, because this video is meant to show the PvP gameplay and not the PvP gameplay 10% and the 50% and 90% George speaking a lot about Call of Dragons. That's not the idea. And yeah, finally we have some PvP gameplay. I will just keep myself in a place where I won't gonna get targeted, right? At first, always, whenever you are fighting as an archer, I believe you should clear the infantry players around you, because they will be the most destruction which you can get in general whenever you are having medium range, right? Of course, when you are having long range warfare and you have the same range as a mage players, gameplay changes, of course. You have more free time hitting mage players, and yeah, even here right now, I'm trying my best to clear up infantry, so we will have free time to deal damage to mages, right? And in some cases, that actually happens super fast, depending on the focus of the players, right? But here, I won't gonna touch infantry, I will just go and try my best to deal damage to an enemy backline, because I want to see the high numbers on the merit section, which will be great, because I want to have higher merits in order for me to purchase more and more warped skills. And some of the warped skills I will use it, some of the warped skills I will sell, and I will buy the skills which are important for me, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to say regarding infantry. You can see how hard it is to actually deal damage to mage players, because they are standing in the back. If I will just go closer there, unfortunately I will get damaged, and whenever I'm getting damaged, I'm just dying in like a couple of seconds. So if we want to continue the PvP gameplay, we have to clear infantry troops, right? Well, it of course changes whenever you are tier 5 player. You basically prefer to attack mainly ranged players, because you know that you have a high damage. That's also a big part of how you can play around the stronger enemies whenever you are fighting, right? But yeah, here we could not really manage to clear out enough infantry players, and that's the reason why they are pushing us, right? Because whoever has more infantry troops around the battlefield, they are basically winning, right? And hopefully this will be another fight where we're gonna clear the infantry as fast as possible, so we will have some free time dealing damage to mages, right? Yeah. Like first couple of seconds, I moved up and straight away I got targeted by the ranged players, which are mainly mages, right? Let's be honest. Yeah, I hate this rock. This rock is not allowing me to deal damage, because my troops are moving away pretty fast. And yeah, since we have full HP, I can just go and be aggressive. Because yeah, whenever you are moving forward, then you are not getting damaged. Like for example, right now, 2 targets are not a lot. But yeah, I tanked a little. Now I will move back, since my infantry players are moving up, right? But yeah, I can see from the back, this infantry player just wanted to sneak attack, which generally happens almost all the time, since people understood that infantry can have blink, and that blink will do wonders, right? Of course, yeah, I think we should actually focus on following the rally. These 3 infantry troops won't gonna decide anything there, and yeah, I think that's the correct decision to actually move forward with the rally. Of course, rally might be attacking the enemy cities, but that's not our job right now. Our job right now to basically try to be as helpful as possible, right? Yeah, right now I'm an archer, I don't have highest range, that's why, if I will just move closer, it will be just horrible. But yeah, sometimes you can actually try. If you will see some archer players moving up, you can move up. Maybe you can click on somebody and they will stand still and allow you to attack more. Yeah, I think they are just having lower amount of troops around the battlefield. That's the reason why they are not doing anything. It's pretty weird, right? It's pretty weird because they have quite a good amount of players around here, and it should be not that hard for them to actually deal damage. But yeah, 9 targets are too much, and as always, those 9 targets are going to Mike Inara. I have no idea why everybody loves to target Mike Inara, but yeah, it is what it is. Thankfully, I can watch around the battlefield and I can move away my troops, so my archers will stay alive, right? And that's what actually happened. Hopefully, we're gonna continue and we will have some nice merits at the end of the video. I know everybody is telling me to refill my legions as much as humanly possible, but unfortunately, as a tier 4 player, I never have a spot near the battleground, near the front lines, so it means that every time I will decide to refill, it will take approximately 3 to 5 minutes in order for me to refill, and that's the only reason why I just don't want to refill, because it will take too much time and it will be pretty boring to watch a video where the content creator is basically refilling the legion like for 5 minutes and only fights for 2 minutes, because in these 2 minutes I will yet again have low HP because I'm attacking tier 5 players. So that's the story. That's why I'm not going to refill, and I will just continue to be more cautious and play as much as humanly possible, right? Here we might have a perfect moment. Yep. We can deal damage to archers, which is great. I just don't want to target anything else for a couple of seconds. Yeah, I can go back. Now target will be on somebody else, and we're gonna try to deal damage to mages, right? Yeah, finally. But yeah, one infantry player can distract you, but I guess that one infantry player just made a small mistake by not sticking to the target, right? Yep. We are removing targets. This is perfect. I'm not sure if I had so much time attacking mages than before in this kind of KVK, so I will just stick to my targets, which are mages, and I will try to not focus on something else, which is called infantry, right? Which will deal me a lot of damage. Yep, that's what happens whenever we are pushing. Enemy is basically throwing like unlimited amount of infantry troops, and here I will try my best to somehow escape, right? Let's see if we are managed to escape. We are getting some targets, and those targets are basically from infantry who are trying to make us lose the march speed, right? All right, let's get back. Let's get back to have a proper position. All right, I don't want us to split. Yeah, I think that's good enough. That's good enough. We can actually continue dealing damage. Unfortunately, when this amount of cavalry players are standing closer to us, it means that they are throwing a lot of artifact skill damage, and unfortunately it's almost impossible to survive that kind of damage whenever you are fighting, right? Because you are slowed, cavalry is faster, and those cavalry players' range on their artifacts will for sure touch you, right? So that's the reason why I believe sometimes it's just worthless to run whenever you are too close to those infantry players, right? Alright, unfortunately our small push made them the chance to attack us even more. I don't know, that archer was actually making a mistake. Maybe he got a little lag, but that's fine, right? That's fine. We still have some troops. We still have some units which will deal some damage, and of course I have mentioned many times that Infantry is one of the most tankiest archer hero pair which I have ever created. And yeah, I guess slowly we will start to play as more of a aggressive ones, because we have a low HP on our archers, and I think it will be most appropriate for us to try to deal damage to backline and to try to see the maximum amount of damage we can actually deal to those ranged units, right? But unfortunately right here it's almost impossible, right? But yeah, soon Whenever I see that Magrat and Zaida has like 10% HP, I think I will say that's good enough, right? Because if you are not dying in first couple of minutes fighting against tier 5 players, I think you are doing a good job. That's my honest review. And we somehow managed to survive like basically 20 minutes of fighting only. Alright, let's just go and let's just take damage, because that's the only way. We have too low of the HP. Somehow my Indie Centaura got teleported back, and yeah, my Indie Centaura won't gonna deal damage. Their only job is to actually buff my other archer hero pairs and to heal my Magrat and Zaida, which has amplifier in her healing, right? And that's why I will just send her back. So most important moment for us to check how we actually performed is to check merits, right? And let's check the merits and let's try to understand how we actually performed, right? So we have 12k merits from Indie Centaura, we have 45k merits from Magrat and Zaida, which is not a surprise. I'm always expecting to get highest amount of merits from Magrat and Zaida. We have 25k from Kinara and Nico. They won't gonna deal too much damage. Their only job is to get as much debuffs as possible on enemies. And Musiang with Gwenwyn, 24k merits, right? 24k merits. Of course, the traits won't gonna be great because I'm a tier 4 player fighting against such a strong enemies, but I believe these merits are pretty good, right? Even counting the support hero pair which I used in the Centaura, I believe these merits are great. So yeah, that's the idea. Even in the strongest KVKs, and if you are a tier 4 player, you are going to have a lot of fun. So keep grinding, keep trying to make your account as strong as humanly possible, right? And as always, if you like the video, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody an amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really, really soon. Bye bye and good luck.